XRP and IOTA, major IOTA upgrade set for 2025. Now, this video is about these two assets, and they touch hands here. In just a minute, you'll see where they touch hands. And we're going to have a decent wallet commercial first, and we'll be right back.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. So just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.
Thank you for sticking with us. And by the way, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. We're always aiming to have one video that has 2,000 likes. So if you feel like doing your part, just reach over there and just hit that thumbs up. It won't cost you anything to hit it, but it will bless us, and we appreciate it. Max, this is pretty interesting that these two assets have touched hands. Tell us about it.
Absolutely, Will. So again, shout out to Smoke. He has a new key discovery for you guys, and this is recent, within the last few hours to say the least. So what is it all about? Well, basically, as we pull this up, he goes on to mention this major IOTA upgrade set for 2025. And I hold IOTA, and I thought to myself, this is interesting, especially to see it with XRP. But he goes on to mention that during the bear market, IOTA, if you're not aware of it, has been quietly building, focusing on smart contracts, prototype launches, and testing critical advancements. While most overlooked it, this token has been laying the groundwork for significant growth. The timeline shows IOTA's development is set to culminate in 2025, marking a pivotal moment. Smoke goes on to mention that by then, those waiting on mainstream attention will likely face higher prices and diminished opportunities. The best investments are often the ones ignored or misunderstood. I couldn't agree more. That's why Smoke spent years researching IOTA, because its true value is hidden in plain sight. For many, fear and lack a understanding, well, that's going to lead to missed opportunities. But for those who recognize the potential, this could be game changer. And what do we have? Well, it's a little bit blurry because it was taken from a screenshot from a cell phone, but we can give you kind of like the gist. You see here the journey to programmability. I love the terminology. I obviously cover quant quite a bit, and it's all about programmable money, but even here you see layer 2 EVM chains, the layer 1 Tangle, which obviously is part of the whole thing of IOTA, and layer 1 move towards smart contracts. They have a thing called Programmability Task Force, but again, you can see how they have this growth of development phase and beta testing. Well, where are we going now? Well, it's basically 2025 with IOTA being rebased. It's that launch of what they're trying to accomplish here. As I take you further into Smoke's research, this is where the whole thing of Ripple XRP becomes part of the mix. So what does Smoke basically have? He states that IOTA is the token of the future. IOTA, the most underrated ISO 222 token, mostly due to the lack of exposure to the right info. Many are chasing non-ISO coins, ignoring hidden gems like IOTA with massive upside potential. So I will be the one to unveil the truth on this misunderstood asset. All right, so here's just a brief on this for you guys who aren't aware of IOTA. It's the functionalities across sectors, microtransactions. You also have the whole thing of data integrity, scalability, secure device communication, of course, smart contracts. But this is what stands out for me when it comes to IOTA, everybody. It's micropayments for Internet of Things. I'll come back in the frame and talk about this for a brief moment. Both myself and Will are personally invested into Jasmy. Jasmy really stands out not only for Japan, but let's face it, their outreach when it comes to the Internet of Things. They're hoping to do things obviously here in the United States and of course abroad in other nations as well. For me, IOTA has to be part of my portfolio if I'm going to talk about things that are related to Internet of Things. But the difference is this. The difference is that I can have a little piece of the concept of Jasmy, but I could also have it mixed with the chosen ones of ISO 222. To me, that means IOTA is significantly undervalued, slept on, and has real world use case. Getting further into this from Smoke, I want to point out these other key things. And that is, when he gets into the weeds about cross platform interoperability, well, you got to keep in mind that, yeah, Internet of Things have to talk to other particular networks. And of course, that leads to data marketplaces, smart cities. I mean, all this is part of IoT, but there's so much that's to be mentioned here. Data privacy and security. Again, if I'm covering Jasmy, I also got to recognize IOTA. Well, is this documented in regards to Ripple XRP and the whole shebang? The answer is yes. What does Smoke have? Well, Smoke goes on to mention this from a citation from what you see at the top here, repository.ij.efzg.unizg.hr. And it says here in the findings specifically that IOTA's technology is obviously capable enough to cover multiple sectors, and that they are currently involved in finance. Again, think about this. Finance, Ripple XRP, things like that. But it's not just that. It's just like with Jasmy, automotive industry, communication, social media, e-health, gaming, product, traceability, sensor networks, building smart cities, smart energy, smart farming, smart home. You get the gist. Now, this part about XRP is really interesting. It said, for example, that when you get further into the whole thing of these concepts, that when we see things about like XRP and whatnot, well, again, what does it mention here? It says alongside RippleNet, XRP is used with companies such as Quill. It allows web monetization as a second option to traditional paid advertising. Users consume specific content. Quill uses ILP, which is the Interledger Protocol, in order to stream micropayments. XRP L, as in the XRP ledger, is ideal to provide low-cost, high-speed reliability payment channels. XRP in itself is involved also in asset custody. The point is XRP emerging also into existing financial systems. Would we see IOTA also emerging into the same thing through IoT? I think the answer is yes. And where we're also going with this whole thing is understanding that, again, Smoke does an excellent job with getting into the weeds of all of this stuff. Let's share this also on the other screen for you can understand it. As we zoom in on this other highlight that he has, he says some tokens and projects have use cases in many different industries. But in the case of IOTA, IOTA has been involved in gaming, finance, and automotive. But again, understand that at the very bottom of this, that when you look into European data protection, IOTA's technology is obviously capable to cover multiple sectors. They're currently involved in finance, automotive industry, and again, some of these key things. So smart wallets, partnerships, again, Internet of Things. Well, guess what? Here is something that you might not be aware of. IOTA staking rewards 10 to 15% APY coming in this year, 2025. These rewards will be generated from institutional players and, of course, governments participating in liquidity pools alongside retail investors. Let's have a listen to this. This is good stuff. And then, if anything, we'll get Will's take on this here in a brief bit. 45 seconds, and then we'll come right back. Here we go.
Now, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some very exciting announcements of new professional staking pools and large institutional players that are going to come onto the IOTA network and will begin to validate, or will begin to offer the validation service to the network. The way that we're going to see this is that it will be professional staking pools, it will be strategic partners, including governments that we're working with to become validators on the network as well. And it will also be you guys, right? It will be the community that will be encouraged to set up staking pools. And so I think here we can take a lot of inspiration from Cardano, because I think Cardano has done a really, really amazing job in building up these staking pools that are fully community run, right? And where the staking rewards are then being distributed to different causes, right?
All right, so the whole thing of staking, before we get into the next part of this, Will, the way I look at it is, this is the IoT plug for all the the ISO 222 coins and tokens moving forward. I mean, you know, micropayments, monetization. I covered all this stuff with Jasmine. I love the appeal here when it comes to IOTA because it has a very limited supply compared to the other ISO coins. Your thoughts briefly before we get into the next part of what we have for everybody.
My first thought is that last screen, it showed everything that it was showing seemed to be probably the things that will generate the fees that will pay the APY. Did you see the APY? Now, I don't know if they're calling out that that's going to be the APY, but why did they put 10 to 15%? That's a lot of yield, you know. If we get 10 to 15% return on our money, staking rewards with 10 to 15% APY, you know, the the EVM support, you know, we know what that is, the ethereal virtual machine. So you're bringing in, people aren't going to want to use Ethereum for moving around smart contracts because of the expense. The EVM is going to help keep Ethereum alive, but it's going to give people a much cheaper way of doing it, you know, of moving contracts. And so XRP has introduced an EVM. You have IOTA there, and those fees will be generating, and then the other things on there, generating income. Dude, 10 to 15%. Man, 10%, you know, everybody's talking about, you know, being a millionaire. Okay, so you're a millionaire. You can liquidate that or live off of it. Well, at 10 to 15%, that's $100,000 to $150,000 a year. I'll take some of that. I'll convert it to IOTA for that type of return.
We want to point out some of these other things. So, you know, I cover quant. There's the whole thing of like, you know, DID, digital ID. Obviously, Jasmine, you have the mine number. What about IOTA? Think about this for a second. Let's pull this up. So, Smoke also has this. He goes on to mention that the IOTA protocol has a function as infrastructure that supports all use cases foreseen by the European Commission. Checkmark. With initiatives like the IOTA-based digital passport and IP rights management platform, the protocol demonstrates its ability to address challenges in digital identity, traceability, and secure data sharing, aligning seamlessly with the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure EBSI for a sustainable and digitally connected future. And this is documented below. I got to come back for a second. I want to talk about this. Why is this significant? Well, we even understand the quant connection with this. Quant's infrastructure with DID. All right, how can you have something with IOTA that would be also part of the mix? I think if anything in this document, we will get into why this incentivizes even that with IOTA. So as we pull this up, you're going to see some visuals that are pretty cool. And again, check it out. Use cases. The function of IOTA's infrastructure will support all potential use cases foreseen by the European Commission. Within the context of PCP, the IOTA Foundation will test platform with two specific use cases that are a priority for the European Commission. Again, priority, not just like speculative. You know, you want things that are going to be part of priority. This is why we put so much emphasis on like mandates and stuff like this. Is this in itself IOTA's particular mandate? Well, through what? European Commission. So the creation of digital product passport, like as is pointed out here, for the circular economy applied to consumer electronics and electric vehicle batteries. The use cases addresses policies for the circular economy, such as Sustainable Products Initiative and the Battery Passport that has already been proposed in the batteries regulation. Batteries regulation? I mean, we're talking about products, services, micropayments, and if anything, providing monetization for people that are using the platforms. This is a big deal moving forward, everybody, and hardly anybody is talking about IOTA. On this bottom part, intellectual property rights management. Intellectual property rights management is the creative industry. This use case helps creative or creatives, I should say, to track the use of their work, transfer intellectual property rights, and receive compensation in an automated and trusted way. Further tests with the foundation's ecosystem of partnerships is also within the scope. And even in the icon, you see kind of like how it comes together. My key takeaway, before we kick into the last part from the one and only Mr. Smoke, is this, Will. I think we got to look at this from this perspective. You saw Larry Fink, in these interviews last year and the year before, talking about the tokenization of real world assets. And we've been there and done that. But now you have IOTA as that plug for what? For data democratization. ISO 222 is compliant. It's part of that list of those tokens. And it hits all these areas of what Larry Fink of BlackRock was talking about. But the only difference is, compared to the other coins and tokens that we talk about, they're part of the ISO, is monetization. To me, this has to be one of the most slept on, undervalued of the ISO coins. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't have a lot to add, but the content, spoke for itself there. The tokenization of these things and how many vehicles are there? Just the idea of aligning themselves with those different products puts them all over the place. Probably generates tons of money for IOTA. So it's going to be interesting to see that implemented.
He has here on the screen this. It's this contribution back to the whole thing of EBSI. Okay? Let's put a focus on it and then we'll wrap it up. IOTA is ideally suited to the infrastructure requirements proposed by the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure. To support the vision of ledger-based secure transactions for EU single digital market, in particular, IOTA technology answers EBSI's stated goals of being scalable, open, decentralized, and interoperable. I mean, all these things are like things that we see in, obviously, Interledger protocol with XRP and Overledger with Quant, right? So I look at like this is hitting two birds with one stone. It is permissionless by nature, can be supported, can be used to support permission environments that use IOTA smart contract, and you can also grant permission to resources and control data distribution to comply with European Union regulations. This bottom part, EBSI pre-commercial procurement PCP now presents a unique opportunity to converge cutting-edge technology with the high standards of public digital infrastructure. So it's going to use all the bells and whistles of the Interledger protocol. It's going to use all the bells and whistles of interoperability through the Quant network and whatnot, right? And this is why Quant network has that interoperability with IOTA. It's like we point this out in documentation. Yes, there's this whole thing of Tangle, but again, when I got to the bottom part of this, I said to myself, what about IOTA and proof of work? It gets temporarily used to a sense. So look at this. IOTA's green credentials. No miners working on proof of work means much less energy spent in comparison to other blockchains. It's another driver of scalability and complements the European Green Deal, the European Union's overarching aim to making Europe climate neutral by 2050. So they have plans not just for the next 5 years, they're going out all the way to like things like 2050. And I did mean to highlight this part. If you're aware of Tangle, it uses a unique technology to solve three fundamental problems with blockchain tech. Here's your highlight as far as what IOTA solves. Solves the whole thing of high fees. You have the whole thing of low throughput and centralization, but open source protocol connecting the human economy with machine economy by facilitating novel interactions, including secure data transfer, feeless micropayments, and secure access control. When I saw that, Will, I said to myself, at the end of the day, this is basically like what Jasmine's trying to do, but now, yes, I should go back. Jasmine is also an ISO standard with, or has a certification with ISO 27001, which is significant. But IOTA has this plug to ISO 222. It's the only one of the IoT, Internet of Things, that has it. That makes that unique. And again, a limited supply to me, again, it's a no-brainer. And that's why I'm proud to hold IOTA. And then some of those mentions in regards to XRP with IOTA, I think that's a big deal moving forward and a great find by the one and only Smoke. So we're going to go ahead and close it out for you guys. Let us know what you think. Do you hold IOTA? Do you think this is bullish in regards to XRP and IOTA moving forward? And again, let us know. Here's the key word for you guys if you listen to the whole thing, and type this into the comments, and that is IoT ISO 222. And we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Will, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.